I was 17 when my dad died. He was my whole world. My mom passed away when I was little, so it had always just been the two of us, until he met her. Her name was Carla. At first, she seemed okay. She laughed a lot, cooked fancy dinners, wore expensive clothes. Dad looked happy with her, so I tried to like her. I really did. But something about her just didn't feel right. She was cold. Distant. Like I was a guest in my own house. After they got married, things changed. Fast. My dad stopped spending as much time with me. He was always busy with Carla. Suddenly, I had new rules. Carla didn't like my music, didn't like how I dressed, didn't like when I used the kitchen. It felt like every day she was finding new ways to remind me this wasn't my house anymore. And Dad? He didn't want to hear it. He kept saying, just try to get along. She's part of the family now. Then, one day, my whole life came crashing down. It was a Tuesday. I remember because I had just come back from school, and the house was quiet. Too quiet. Carla was sitting on the couch, her makeup smudged, holding a tissue. When I asked what happened, she just stared at me with these cold, red eyes. Then she said it. He's gone. My heart stopped. What do you mean? I asked. Your father. He had a heart attack at work. They couldn't save him. I don't remember falling to the floor, but I do remember screaming. My chest felt like it had split in two. Everything went black. The funeral was a blur. Family came in from all over, people I barely knew. They hugged me, gave me pity looks, told me he's in a better place. I didn't want to hear any of it. I wanted my dad. I wanted my home. I wanted things to go back to how they were. After the funeral, Carla was different. Not just cold, cruel. It was like now that Dad was gone, she didn't have to pretend anymore. One night, just 2 weeks after the funeral, I came home from school to find my stuff in boxes. All of it. Clothes, books, my backpack, just dumped in the hallway like trash. What is this? I asked. She crossed her arms and leaned against the door frame. I've decided it's time you found somewhere else to live. You're not my responsibility. I thought she was joking. I laughed, nervously. You can't be serious. But she was. She said the house was in her name now. That my dad had left everything to her in his will. That I was almost 18 and should be able to figure things out on my own. I begged her. I cried. I had nowhere to go. No siblings, no close relatives nearby. But she didn't care. She watched me drag my boxes out of the house like she was watching TV. Not a single tear in her eyes. I spent the next 2 years couch surfing. Friends let me crash for a while. A kind teacher helped me get a small scholarship so I could attend community college. I worked part-time jobs, fast food, retail, whatever I could get. There were nights I didn't eat. Nights I cried myself to sleep wondering what I had done to deserve this. But deep down, I made a promise to myself. One day, I'll come back. And she'll be the one packing boxes. Those years were hard. Really hard. But something about the pain fueled me. I pushed through school. Got my associate's degree. Then transferred to a state university. I worked full-time while going to class. I barely slept, but I graduated, debt-free, thanks to scholarships and hustle. I got a job in tech. Entry-level at first, but I learned fast. I kept showing up early, staying late, asking for extra projects. Within 3 years, I got promoted, twice. I moved into my own small apartment. Nothing fancy, but it was mine. No one could tell me to leave. No one could box up my life and throw it in the hallway. Every now and then, I'd check the real estate listings for my old neighborhood. Just to torture myself, I guess. But then one day, 5 years after Dad's death, I saw it. My old house was for sale. Same white porch. Same tree in the front yard I used to climb. It was a little rundown now. Paint was chipped. Yard was a mess. The listing said motivated seller. I called the agent that same day. Hi, I'm interested in 273 Oakwood Lane. Oh, that one? Yeah, the owner's trying to sell fast. Divorce issues, I think. Divorce issues. Carla. I didn't say anything. Just scheduled a viewing. When I walked through the door again for the first time in 6 years, something hit me in the chest. Memories. The good ones. Me and Dad cooking together. Watching movies. Laughing. I didn't say a word to the agent. I just said, I'll take it. I had the money. I'd been saving for years. I paid in cash. The house was mine now. And Carla had no idea who bought it. I didn't tell anyone at first. Not even my closest friends. I wanted to move smart, not emotionally. I wasn't going to storm in like some movie character yelling, "This is mine now." I had waited too long to blow it over drama. I wanted to do it right. So, I let the paperwork go through. The house was officially mine. Then, I called the property manager that was handling the sale. "Hey," I said calmly, "about the current tenant, is she still there?" "Yeah," she said. "She's been slow on payments, though. We gave her a 30-day notice after the sale went through." I nearly dropped the phone. She was behind on rent? Living in my dad's house, still acting like she owned the place, and not even paying her bills? I asked if she had been informed that the house was sold. The manager said she'd been notified through mail and email, but they hadn't heard back from her directly. Apparently, she'd been ignoring everything, probably thinking she could stay longer if she didn't respond. I gave them the green light. "Start the official eviction," I said. "I want her out." They gave her another final notice, taped to the front door. This time, she responded. 2 days later, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. It was one of those long numbers with no name attached, just digits. Normally, I would have let it go to voicemail. But something in me, curiosity, instinct, maybe something I couldn't name, told me to answer. "Hello." At first, all I heard was breathing. Soft. Uneven. Like the caller wasn't sure if they should speak. I almost hung up. And then, a voice. A voice I hadn't heard in years. One that used to fill my childhood home with fake sweetness and sharp edges. One that used to shout my name like it was a burden. "It's Carla." Just 2 words, but they hit me like a punch to the chest. My heart jumped. My breath caught in my throat. For a split second, I was a kid again, standing in that hallway, holding a bag, waiting for her to slam the door in my face. But this time, I wasn't that kid. I was grown. I had a spine. I had the deed to the house she once kicked me out of. So I steadied my voice, forced it to stay calm. "I know," I said. She hesitated. I could hear the confusion in her breath. You bought the house." "Yeah. I did." There was a long silence after that. It stretched on like a crack in glass, spreading. Then she laughed. Not the kind of laugh you'd expect. It wasn't joyful, or even surprised. It was sharp. Bitter. Nervous. A laugh with no real humor behind it. "Well, I guess this is funny to you," she said. "Kicking me out like I kicked you out, huh? Is that what this is about?" I didn't answer right away. I let the words sit there between us, heavy and ugly. Then I spoke. "No," I said quietly. "This is about me taking back what was stolen." She didn't like that. I could hear the shift in her tone, the defensiveness creeping in. "You think you deserve this house," she snapped. I didn't flinch. "I know I do. And deep down, so do you." She started to speak again, her voice rising, maybe to argue, maybe to justify, maybe to throw another excuse my way, but I didn't give her the chance. I cut her off. "You had no problem tossing a teenager out on the street with nowhere to go," I said, my voice firm now, strong. "Now, you can find somewhere else too." And I hung up. Just like that. I stood there in the middle of my apartment, holding the phone in my hand like it was still buzzing. My heart was racing. My hands were shaking. I could feel the adrenaline under my skin, hot and electric. But it didn't feel like revenge. It didn't feel like payback. It didn't even feel like victory. It felt better. Better than I imagined. Not because I had gotten even, but because I had stood up. I had closed a door that once slammed in my face. I had finally said all the things I couldn't say back then. And this time, she had to listen. 30 days later, she was gone. No fight. No screaming. No threats or desperate attempts to stay. Just silence. Maybe deep down she knew the truth, that she had no legal ground to stand on anymore. Or maybe she was just tired of running, tired of pretending she still had control over something that never truly belonged to her in the first place. When I got the call confirming she had moved out, my heart started racing. My hands shook a little on the steering wheel as I drove there. I hadn't stepped foot on that street in years, but the moment I turned the corner, it all came flooding back. The way the trees lined the road. The crooked mailbox with our last name, half faded, peeling off. The creak of the gate as I stepped onto the property. The house stood just as I remembered it, but it also felt completely foreign. The porch, once swept clean every Saturday morning by Dad, was now laid with dust and dead leaves. The wooden boards groaned beneath my feet. Some of the windows were cracked, one had a piece of cardboard taped over it from the inside. The smell hit me the moment I opened the front door. A strange mix of mildew and cheap air freshener. Like someone had tried to cover up years of neglect with a single spritz of something floral. She had taken what little furniture she had left, but didn't bother to clean up after herself. There were old papers scattered on the floor, like they'd been thrown or blown around in a rush. Dirty curtains hung lopsided on rusted rods. In the bathroom, I found a shattered mirror still hanging by one crooked nail. My reflection looked back at me in broken fragments. I walked through each room slowly, each step feeling heavier than the last. My old bedroom. The door still stuck slightly when I pushed it open. The walls were bare, but I could still see the outline where my posters used to hang. A piece of tape clung stubbornly to the corner of the wall, untouched all these years. Dad's office. His old desk was gone, but I could almost hear the sound of his fingers tapping the keyboard, the way he used to hum when he was deep in thought. The air in there was still. Stale. Then the kitchen. The one place that hurt the most. The table was gone, but I stood in the spot where it used to be. I could almost smell pancakes, hear the clatter of forks on plates, and Dad's laugh echoing off the walls on a quiet Sunday morning. For a second, it felt like I had traveled back in time. Then, I saw it. Something on the wall. A small, dusty frame. I stepped closer, heart thudding louder in my chest. It was a photo. A photo of me and Dad. We were sitting on the front porch steps, his arm around my shoulders. I must have been around 12. We were both smiling, so wide and full of life. I didn't even know she still had this. I didn't know it still existed. I stared at it for a long, long time. My fingers grazed the edge of the frame. The glass was slightly chipped, but the image inside was perfect. Untouched by time. And then, I cried. Not for her. Not for Carla. Not out of anger. I cried for everything else. For all the years I lost. For the boy who had to grow up way too fast. For the moments that were stolen from me when I needed someone the most. For the birthdays I spent alone. For the grief I never got to process. But I also cried because I was still standing. Because I made it through the worst of it. Because I fought to come back. Because despite everything she did to break me, I had survived. And now, I was home. After that first emotional visit, I took a week off work to fix up the house. I didn't tell anyone what I was doing. I just needed space. Time. Quiet. I showed up every morning with paint cans, trash bags, and an old hoodie that smelled like dust and memories. I painted the walls. Each brushstroke felt like I was covering up the past. Not to erase it, but to give myself something new. A fresh start. I tore up the old carpets that had been there since I was a kid. They were stained, worn thin, and full of dust. I replaced them with soft, clean ones that didn't carry any ghosts. I hung new curtains in every room, light ones, the kind that moved with the breeze. I wanted sunlight. I wanted the house to breathe again. I got rid of the broken things. The cracked shelves. The busted blinds. The scorched pan she left in the oven. I tossed them all. It wasn't just cleaning, it was releasing. I brought in some peace. And the weird part? It didn't feel like work. It felt like healing. Like every wipe of the counter, every nail hammered into the wall, was me slowly scrubbing away years of pain. Grief. Silence. It was like I was peeling off the weight that had been sitting on my chest since the day she made me leave. I didn't keep much from the past. Most of it had either been taken or tainted. But I did keep that photo. The one of me and Dad, sitting on the porch, both of us smiling like we didn't have a care in the world. I hung it back up, right by the front door. I wanted it to be the first thing I saw every time I came home. Like a reminder, you made it back. You're safe now. But I didn't move in right away. I wasn't ready yet. The house was clean, but my heart needed a little more time. Instead, I rented it out. Found a good family. A kind couple with a little boy, probably 7 or 8, who liked to run barefoot through the yard and chase butterflies. He reminded me of myself. Watching him laugh, watching the parents pull into the driveway after work and hug their kid on the porch, it made the house feel alive again. Like love was growing in the same soil where so much hurt once lived. And Carla? I never heard from her again. No messages. No letters. No calls. Nothing. I don't know where she went. And honestly, I don't care to. I don't wish her well or badly. I just don't think about her anymore. That chapter is closed. But I'll tell you something I've learned. Life is weird. Sometimes the people who are supposed to protect you, love you, guide you, end up being the ones who hurt you the most. And sometimes, the pain they cause? That becomes your fire. It burns, yes. But it also builds. Looking back now, I don't think I would have pushed myself so hard if she hadn't kicked me out. I don't think I would have learned what I was truly made of. She wanted me gone. She thought I'd vanish. That I'd fall apart and never get back up. But instead, I built a life. A real one. And when I came back stronger. If you're still watching or listening to this, I just want to say this. I know what it's like to feel abandoned. To feel like you have no one. Like the rug got pulled from under you and now you're just free falling. But I promise you, you can land on your feet. It's not easy. Some days will suck. You'll cry. You'll doubt yourself. You'll want to give up. But don't. Because one day, you'll look around and realize you made it. You survived what was meant to break you. And if you're lucky, you'll be standing in front of something you built with your own hands. Something that's yours. Like I stood in front of my dad's house, with the keys in my hand and no one left to take it away. That moment? It was worth everything. And that's the story, you guys. If you made it all the way to the end, thank you. Seriously. This one was personal, and I hope it reminded someone out there that life can flip in your favor when you keep pushing forward. If you've ever been kicked down, pushed aside, or counted out, just know, your comeback is coming. If you liked this story, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a new upload. And hey, if you've got a story of your own, drop it in the comments. I read every single one. You never know, your story might be the next one we tell. Thanks for watching. Until next time, stay strong, stay kind, and stay you.